Concealed behind towering hedges and private security gates on Jupiter Island lies one of the most private residences in the United States. This is the home of golf icon Tiger Woods. For years, few people outside his most trusted inner circle have ever been allowed inside. However, during a seemingly routine repair job on the estate, an extraordinary discovery was made. The find sent silent ripples of astonishment through everyone who witnessed it. It also brought to light a simple yet unsettling question. Why was this so meticulously hidden in the first place? In 2006, Tiger Woods acquired a vast property on Jupiter Island, Florida. According to public records and press reports from the era, the purchase price was approximately $40 million. It was a double-sized lot spanning about 12 acres, with a prime location directly on the Atlantic Ocean side of the island. The sheer scale of the land made headlines, but it would be years before the true scope of his construction plans became apparent. Following the sale, Tiger had the existing mansion torn down and began building a custom-designed residence that would cater to both his personal life and professional demands. The project spanned several years, with completion occurring around 2010 or 2011, a period that coincided with the finalization of his divorce from Ellen Nordegren. Reports at the time indicated that Tiger moved in alone while sharing custody. Of his children, the estate is composed of two primary buildings, a 12,000-square-foot main house, and a 14,000-square-foot multi-purpose structure. A glass-enclosed walkway connects the two, allowing for seamless travel between them regardless of the weather. The architectural design combines a modern, open-plan feel with a strong focus on privacy. While aerial photographs of the property have been widely shared, the interior has rarely, if ever, been officially revealed. The main house features a sprawling living area, a large kitchen, multiple bedrooms and bathrooms, and floor-to-ceiling windows that offer unobstructed views of the ocean. The aesthetic is clean and functional, designed for practicality rather than ostentation. Those who have visited the home often mention its peaceful and orderly atmosphere. The home also includes a private movie theater, an elevator, the temperature-controlled wine cellar amenities typical of luxury. Properties in the area, separate from the main residence, is the second building, which houses a state-of-the-art gym, a media room, and various spaces dedicated to business and training. According to individuals familiar with the property, this building was specifically engineered to support Tiger's physical recovery and long-term athletic objectives. This is the location for most of his off-the-course work, including therapy sessions, strength training, and meetings with his coaches and advisors. The exterior of the estate is equally impressive. The grounds boast a 100-foot lap pool, a circular diving pool, and a smaller wading pool for children. A private dock near the water's edge provides access for personal watercraft or small boats. The landscaping is minimalist but deliberate, utilizing native plants and low-maintenance greenery to keep the focus on the property's elegant lines. Security is exceptionally tight. Local contractors who have worked on other Jupiter Island properties describe Tiger's security system as being on par with what you'd find at an embassy. There are tall hedges, motion sensors, and private access roads, while local regulations restrict how much can be done to obscure the view from the air. The estate's design naturally minimizes aerial visibility by placing the most private areas toward the center of the property. Away from the shoreline, Tiger's neighbors on Jupiter Island include other prominent figures. But his property is unique due to its location and layout. His estate stretches from the intracoastal waterway all the way to the ocean, giving him control of the land from one shoreline to the other. This fact alone makes it one of the most valuable single-loner residential properties in the region. By the time he was settled, Tiger had not just built a home, but a secluded personal command center. It was evident from the start that this was a space designed for him to recover, train, raise his kids, and live his life away from the relentless public eye. And for nearly a decade, it served its purpose flawlessly. But years later, that very same seclusion would lead to one of the most astonishing discoveries ever made on Jupiter Island. While most professional golfers might have a home simulator or a putting mat in a spare room, Tiger Woods took the concept of a home course to an entirely different level. built directly on the grounds of his Jupiter Island estate. Tiger's private practice facility is arguably one of the most sophisticated, personal golf complexes ever constructed on a residential property. After moving into his home around 2011, Tiger began designing the outdoor complex with the same meticulous attention to detail he applies to his tournament play. Rather than relying on a local golf club or a public facility, he sought complete control over his training environment. According to insiders who were involved in the construction, the primary objective was to replicate a wide range of conditions he might encounter on professional tours, right in his own backyard. The result is a short game area that spans several acres and is seamlessly integrated into the landscape. It features 4 full-size putting greens with varying slopes and speeds, along with 6 bunkers that contain different depths and sand types. From the white silica of Augusta to the compacted turf sand of the British Open, the greens are mowed at different heights to simulate fairways, fringes, and rough. One green, in particular, is kept at a higher speed to mimic the challenging conditions of the U.S. Open. There's also a wedge range where Tiger can practice shots from 85 to 145 yards into different green shapes with customizable pin placements. This section of the complex allows him to perfect his distance, control, and ball flight under varying wind conditions and turf responses. Sources report that some of these greens are equipped with embedded sensors to track landing angles, spin rates, and carry distances. Critical data he uses to fine-tune his wedge gapping and trajectory control. A unique feature is the second story observation platform, which is built into one of the estate support buildings. From this elevated vantage point, Tiger's coaches and swing consultants can film and observe his practice sessions from above. This angle provides superior visibility of ball flight, alignment, and swing path, all without having to stand on the range with him. The practice complex also includes floodlights, which enable him to continue training at night. This is particularly useful when preparing for overseas tournaments in different time zones. Insiders have said that Tiger occasionally used these nighttime sessions not just for physical preparation, but also to rehearse high-pressure scenarios with time constraints, such as needing to birdie the final hole of a playoff dot to maintain all. Of this, the estate uses a custom irrigation system that draws water from a deep underground well. The water is processed on-site to reduce salinity and hardness, then distributed through a zone-controlled sprinkler system. This allows him to reproduce the feel of soft spring fairways, firm summer greens, or damp link-style turf. Every setting can be adjusted to match the conditions of an upcoming tournament. There is also an indoor hitting bay in one of the buildings, which includes a launch monitor, a force plate system, and a full-swing camera array. This indoor area was especially vital during his periods of recovery when he couldn't spend long hours outdoors. Reports suggest that during his rehabilitation, this indoor setup allowed him to gradually work his way back to full swing routines without risking his posture or impact positions. It is clear that the entire complex is a functioning, high-performance training environment. Every detail serves a purpose, designed to give Tiger an edge without him ever having to leave his property. For a man who has built his career on control and repetition, it makes perfect sense, while outsiders have only caught glimpses from drones and satellite photos. Those who have been on the grounds describe it as the most professional setup outside of a tour-level facility. Years after settling into his estate, Tiger Woods started to notice small but persistent problems with the main house. According to people close to the property management team, it began with minor, uneven settling on the eastern side of the house. Doors wouldn't close properly, and hairline cracks appeared in the floor tiles. Initially, it was dismissed as normal for a coastal property built on sandy ground, but eventually, the signs became too consistent to ignore. Tiger hired a structural engineering firm to assess the situation. Soil tests revealed that the ground beneath the foundation had shifted slightly over time, likely a result of natural erosion combined with rising groundwater levels. Although the house was not in any immediate danger, preventative measures were recommended to avoid future damage. The proposed solution involved drilling pilings into the subsoil to better anchor the structure, a common practice for other luxury homes along the Florida coastline. The work began discreetly. Crews operated mostly at night or in the early morning. To avoid attracting attention, permits were filed under standard routine maintenance categories and no public statement or press release was issued. The crew assigned to the job consisted of only a few contractors who had previously worked on the estate's original construction. Tiger's staff were instructed to keep the job quiet, which was not unusual given the strict privacy standards. On the property, but during the initial phase of the work, something completely unexpected happened. While preparing to stabilize the structure near the northeast section of the property, just beyond the living quarters, workers discovered an obstruction beneath a concrete slab. But this was only the beginning. What appeared to be a standard substructure turned out to be something else entirely. After removing several inches of reinforced concrete and protective fill, they found what looked like a sealed steel door embedded horizontally into the foundation. The team initially assumed it was an old septic access or storm drain left over from the previous home that had once occupied the site. However, when they cross-referenced the architectural blueprints for both the old and current builds, there was no record of any such structure in that location. Nothing planned, and nothing planned, and nothing permitted. This immediately raised concerns. The matter was brought to Tiger's attention, and he approved a further inspection, but insisted it be handled without any outside involvement. The contractors brought in a small rig to break the seal. What they uncovered was the entrance to a narrow concrete shaft that descended about 12 feet. At the bottom was a square chamber, roughly 20 feet long by 15 feet wide. It had its own air ducts, its own electrical feed, and was lined with a moisture-resistant finish. The room was empty, at least at first glance. There was no visible doorbell, no lock from the outside, and no interior access point from the house. It had been built to remain hidden. According to an insider close to the inspection process, the vault appeared to have been constructed at the same time as the original foundation. The wiring and ventilation systems matched the materials used. During the early 2010s build-out, this suggested it was intentionally added when the current estate was being built. When Tiger was informed about the sealed room, he was not surprised. In fact, he reportedly gave direct instructions on how to proceed. The vault was to be cataloged, cleaned, and photographed, but nothing was to be removed until he had reviewed it personally. For several days, security staff were stationed near the access point around the clock while this process took place. What raised more questions was the fact that even long-serving staff had no idea it existed. Some speculated it might be a storm shelter or a panic room. Others thought it was a private storage space for personal reasons, but it contained more than just blank walls. It held items that had been hidden away for years, possibly since the estate was first completed. And when those items were finally identified, it fundamentally changed what people thought they knew about Tiger's life away from the golf course. But the story goes even deeper. The first thing the inspection team noted was the deliberate nature of the space. The vault was not cluttered or forgotten. It was clean, climate-controlled, and eerily silent, insulated from vibration, noise, and the passage of time itself. The walls were lined with custom shelving, and every item had a specific place. Steel containers, archival boxes, and wooden crates were stacked with labels that read like quiet echoes from the past. Dates, initials, and handwritten notes in fading ink. At the center of it all were several leather-bound photo albums dating back to the early 1990s. These were not for public display. Inside were rarely seen images of Tiger's early life. Moments that had never been shared with the public, candid shots from junior tournaments, training sessions with his father, Earl, and family outings frozen in time. One photograph reportedly showed a much younger Tiger staring directly into the camera with a caption scribbled below it. "One day, they'll understand." Nearby were 3 golf bags, all worn but meticulously preserved. One set matched the exact specifications of the clubs he used at the 2000 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, the year he dominated the field by an astounding 15 strokes. The grips were cracked, but the club heads had been oiled and wrapped with an almost reverent care. The third bag contained persimmon, woods, and blade irons. tools from his teenage years, and touched reminders of a time before fame. But it was what they found next in Tiger Woods' Jupiter Island mansion that would leave you speechless. The most haunting discoveries were stored in a small fireproof cabinet. It contained a stack of medical records, MRI scans, rehab schedules, and notes from orthopedic specialists. Most were routine until they weren't. One document had a handwritten note in the margin: "Sharp pain again today. Couldn't swing, couldn't stand. Cried after the session." Another simply read, "Numbness in fingers. Losing grip strength. Can't tell anyone? Now." This is terrifying enough already, but that's not all. In the far corner, a set of film reels sat in metal canisters labeled only with years and location codes. No player was found nearby, but the tapes were later sent for digitization. One person who previewed the footage described it as unfiltered, raw, and painful to watch. It reportedly shows Tiger alone limping through rehab routines, speaking to the camera, and occasionally breaking down mid-sentence and crying. The vault was not built to store trophies. It was built to store what the world was never meant to see. And when Tiger stood in that room for the first time in over a decade, tears reportedly filled his eyes. What they found inside left everyone speechless, and to some, it was quietly terrifying. Why? When news of the vault's contents began to quietly circulate among insiders, it sparked serious conversations behind the scenes. What was found wasn't flashy or scandalous, but the implications were far more profound than anyone had anticipated. For a figure as famously private as Tiger Woods, the decision to construct a hidden space filled with personal records, historical memorabilia, and medical data spoke volumes. According to people familiar with his inner circle, this was not about secrecy for the sake of drama. It was about controlling his own story, his body, and his legacy. One of the most significant aspects of the discovery involved how Tiger managed his recovery from injuries. Over the years, he has undergone several high-profile surgeries, multiple knee operations, back fusion surgery, and various soft tissue treatments, while the public followed parts of his recovery through press releases and tournament appearances. The vault showed just how detailed and methodical he was behind the scenes. Recovery was structured like a second full-time job. Reports from those who reviewed the documents indicate that Tiger kept a strict schedule of progress tracking. There were handwritten notes comparing flexibility measurements, comments on reaction times, and even logs detailing his diet and sleep patterns. His physical therapy plans were meticulously customized, tested, and revised based on performance outcomes. Several of the logs showed that he monitored his practice swings and walking distance day by, especially in the months leading up to his 2019 Masters comeback. This level of documentation is important because it reveals how Tiger approached the second phase of his career as a controlled transformation. Most athletes fade quietly after a series of injuries. He did not. He reinvented the way he moved, the way he trained, and the way he played, all while keeping the public's attention focused on what happened inside the ropes. The vault is proof that his return to major winning form was not a stroke of luck. It was a comeback built piece by piece, hour by hour. There is also the broader question of what the vault represents in the context of sports history. If the contents are ever made public or donated to a sports institution, they would provide analysts, trainers, and historians with an unparalleled look at one of the most studied athletes of modern times. From a performance science perspective, it is exceptionally rare to see this much raw data collected by the athlete himself, especially someone who operated at the very top for decades. His notes, video archives, and medical documents could become a case study in resilience, biomechanics, and long-term recovery under immense pressure. But even beyond sports science, there's a personal angle that cannot be overlooked. Tiger has often stated in interviews that he doesn't dwell on the past. Yet, the careful way he stored early photos, tournament footage, and junior trophies suggests otherwise. According to a person who has worked with him in the past, this was not nostalgia, but documentation, a way of recording milestones that couldn't be explained in a press conference or controlled through media headlines. These were pieces of a story he may not have been ready to tell publicly, but was clearly unwilling to lose. Some believe the vault was created not just for himself, but for his children. He has often spoken about how important his kids are to him, and there is speculation that the archive was intended as a private legacy way to show them how much work went into every title, every comeback, and every swing. Rather than simply telling them stories, he stored the evidence. Footage, records, notes, and Garal kept away from the public eye, but preserved in nearly perfect condition. And that is the key point. The vault was not an accident. It was not something left over from an old build or forgotten during a renovation. It was deliberate. It had its own ventilation, climate control, reinforced walls, and independent wiring. That level of planning only happens when someone wants something protected for a very long time. So, when people ask why it matters, what was found under Tiger's estate, the answer isn't about what's inside, it's about what it says. It shows that one of the most private athletes in the world had quietly built a vault beneath his home, out to hide something shameful, out to preserve something important, his truth on his own terms. After the vault was uncovered and its contents were documented, the reaction within Tiger Woods' circle was quiet but carefully considered. There was no press conference and no official statement, but according to people familiar with the matter, immediate steps were taken to secure the materials and decide on the next course of action. Tiger's legal and management team reviewed everything, starting with the most sensitive documents and private footage, and ensured they were transferred to a secure off-site location for safekeeping. The digitization of the film reels was reportedly done under strict confidentiality agreements. Only a handful of technicians were brought in, and they worked in a controlled facility with limited access. According to an insider, the process revealed more than 30 hours of previously unseen footage, including early swing drills, junior tournaments, and behind-the-scenes looks at practice sessions during his college years. None of this material has been released publicly, but it now exists in a preserved digital format, likely stored under Tiger's direct oversight. What surprised even those close to him was how complete the archive was. Everything seemed to have a purpose. From golf memorabilia and personal artifacts to the detailed recovery logs, it all formed a timeline of his life off-camera. For a figure who spent decades meticulously managing his public image, the vault revealed a different side, one less filtered by the press, sponsorships, or competition. Following the discovery, discussions reportedly began within Tiger's team about the long-term use of the material. One idea that was raised was a potential foundation project that would involve sharing parts of the archive with young golfers. The concept would include educational materials based on his training systems, injury management routines, and tournament preparation strategies. While nothing official has been announced, people familiar with the early conversations say the possibility is being taken very seriously. The vault also sparked renewed interest in Tiger's estate itself. Local appraisers familiar with luxury Florida properties say the existence of a secure, climate-controlled underground facility adds value due to the historical significance tied to the owner. According to one estimate shared among real estate consultants, the Jupiter Island property could now be worth as much as $80 million if it were ever listed. That figure reflects both the real estate itself and the value added by the attention the vault has brought. Within the golf world, some close to Tiger view the vault as more than just personal storage. They see it as a time capsule that could eventually become part of the broader story of golf history. If parts of the archive are ever released, even in small amounts, it could reshape how fans and analysts view key moments of his career, not through filtered interviews or press narratives, but through the raw materials he kept for himself. Tiger has not commented publicly about the vault, and there is no indication that he plans to. This is consistent with how he has always handled personal matters, but sources say that since the discovery, his approach to preserving other aspects of his history has changed. Items that were once kept in off-site storage are now being reevaluated, with an emphasis on documentation and long-term storage. It appears the vault may have set the tone for how Tiger manages his legacy moving forward. For now, the public will not see what was inside, but But those who have say it confirms something that has often been assumed but rarely proven. That Tiger story was never just about winning majors. It was about discipline, structure, and an obsession with detail that didn't stop when the cameras turned off. The vault didn't expose a secret. It revealed the system behind the legend. So, what do you think about Tiger now? Let us know in the comments.